So basically what we're going to talk a little bit about is cost-effective or crafting innovative cost-effective ECM solutions. And for the folks that don't know us, TSG founded in 1996. I'm the president and the founder. We started as a content management consulting firm, so across a lot of different industries, pharmaceutical, utilities, financial services, retail, manufacturing. With Alfresco, we are from the Americas. We were the implementation of the year in 2012 with New York Philharmonic. The growth partner last year, and this year we were the partner of the year. When I think about the innovative and cost-effective with Alfresco, we always kind of think innovative user interface-wise. Can we be adaptive to the unique business requirements, and issues? A lot of times I like when we talk to clients and they go, oh, I didn't know this was running on Alfresco, or the user didn't know it was Alfresco. So our interface that we're going to show today kind of completely sits on top of Alfresco. And then technology, just some unique approaches. So I'm going to try to make this, for the folks that were maybe at the lightning talks, kind of a bunch of ideas, so you can get some ideas as far as how that can apply to the different systems maybe that you're looking at. From a cost-effective, definitely folks that are here from an open source side, can we reduce the add-on costs? Can we reduce the startup costs? Can we leverage open source in place of commercial software for certain things? And we'll definitely show some examples of that as well. All right, from an open source FAQ, so all of the software that TSG produces, you can go out to our website today and download it. And I think I have the website open over here. Basically, for all of if you go into the website and want to hit any of the products, here are all our different products. If you go and look at, the Active Wizard, on the right side, you can download it. So everything we are completely 100% open source. We've been that way since 2006, I'm going to say, Ray. But the frequent questions we get is, well, how do you make any money off it? Because everybody's used to the software model. Our view was, why open source? We don't think as a consulting firm, it's very difficult to say, hey, here, buy our product, and then we're going to sell consulting services on top of it, and you're going to enhance our product, and we're going to lease it to other people. We like the model of, hey, we're going to give you great software to start with that promotes our services, and if you enhance it, we're going to incorporate that in the core and then release it to other folks as well. And then how? Basically, we're taking what we see our clients doing next, rework it to be a little bit generic, use it at new clients, and then release to all as open source. So we 100% own all our source code, but it is available out there as open source. This is kind of a diagram of what we do. So we began in 1996 as a Documentum integrator. We still do a lot of Documentum work as well as Alfresco. We saw a lot of especially our financial services clients, putting a REST-based layer on top of either Documentum or Alfresco. And so open content is kind of our key to providing cross-repository capabilities. So we have both share, and whether you enhance share with some of our products, I'll go through what our products are, or you take those products and go direct, which is what I'm going to show through the demos. We feel it's given us a huge advantage because some of our core Documentum folks have, for example, from a European side, there's a Belgium company that added highlighting to our Open Annotate. And they're Documentum based, but that functionality I'm going to show today is available to all our Alfresco clients as well. But that's kind of how the whole open source model works. From our product side, you're mostly going to see HPI, and we focused on the high performance interface is kind of the core to our interface side as far as for search, view, and authoring. It's not meant to be share or a do-all kind of interface. It's meant to be high performance from the user side, as well as very limited. You're going to see some key things we build into our product from that side. Active Wizard is our electronic form and workflow. So I'll show a little bit of electronic form and workflow with our controlled document approach. Open Annotate is our annotation tool, and that's completely browser-based for PDF annotations. Open Overlay is watermarks, so we do a lot of PDF manipulation for our clients. And then Open Migrate, have people heard of Open Migrate before? That's probably our most popular, constantly downloaded tool as far as allowing clients to migrate to or from Documentum, Alfresco, or everything else. So we usually get a lot of queries about Open Migrate. I don't know, how many folks in the room are partners or other consulting firms? A couple. We do work with other consulting firms on our software. Zia has used Open Migrate for the city of Denver for 45 million documents that they uploaded. I think they migrated from Documentum to Alfresco. So we do work with other partners. We just ask that everybody, be contingent of, we're not, if you're billing the client and then calling us for free support, we'd kind of like a little love when it comes to, hey, let's share in it to make things better. We'd rather have partners working on our stuff and helping Alfresco be successful than using something else. We are very active for the partners in the room on the blog as well. I don't know if folks have seen our blog. One of the ones that got me in trouble with Documentum was that this one gets a lot of hits still to this day, as far as we did a whole series on Documentum to Alfresco migration. We've done a lot of Documentum, Hummingbird. Ray, I'm trying to think of other tools. Canon, FileNet, OpenText. We do Stellent, a lot of different migrations. Okay. The high performance basically it built to enable ECM customers to extend, default do-all interfaces with streamlined interfaces. So we look at our different, I'm going to show insurance and control doc. Ray's going to talk about digital asset management. I'm going to talk about engineering doc management. But our interface has that capability of being used for different functions. Initially, and I wanted to show a couple of slides just to show how our open source has evolved. This was built by one of Ray's clients back in 2004, 5-ish, somewhere in there, Ray? Three. With a basic for if any folks are in financial services and case management, the idea of having some rough navigation on the side and then a 2-page kind of look. The next client was when we started developing HPI around that concept of, again, our clients really like the idea of being able to look at different things as well as use other monitors to be able to look at, especially in a claim and a policy. And then this is what I'm going to show today. This is our latest HPI 2.2 user interface as far as how that has evolved. And I like to tell people it's evolved with help from our clients in that they see something. They say, hey, I like that. That's a great start, but could you add this function? So I'll not only show you some of the functions that we have right now, but also where our clients are taking us. Overall themes, we titled it, as much as I hate acronyms, the high performance interface, because we really wanted to try to differentiate it from a do-all doc management interface like Share, for the Documentum folks in the room, WebTop, where you had a lot of functionality that a lot of people would use. We found a lot of our clients, some users, you don't want to give too much functionality because they'll use it for all kinds of different things and not stick to the high performance we wanted to get out of the user. So we have this only show what is relevant, so only search on relevant attributes, show related folders, documents, easily configurable. Everything you're going to see is configurable, has been validated in our regulatory for the drug-related manufacturing. It's also on the nuclear side. Some of our stuff is actually used in 3 Mile Island from one of our nuclear clients. So having that configurable and tested configurable is something they push us for. A lot of focus on PDF renditions. We just find it an easy way for most folks to view and print. And then the interface promotes and enforces consistency. So how you populate attributes, how you select document types, and how you have security. Ray, do you want to talk a little bit about the architecture behind HPI? Yeah. So I'm Dave Giordano, president and founder. Ray is our lead technical architect and lead of our Alfresco practice.
So basically most of the solutions that we've built on top of the Alfresco platform leverage Alfresco's subsystems. So we've developed our own API embedded within Alfresco, and it's a RESTful interface similar to web scripts, but that's been our primary interface that we've used to develop applications both on Alfresco and Documentum. And that's our interface called Open Content. And hence then things like our Active Wizard and HPI modules, Open Annotate, all of that use that RESTful interface. In terms of our web architecture, it's very JavaScript driven, one-page type applications using jQuery, Backbone, and Bootstrap. I basically said all that. We use Ajax wherever possible. The big thing about the interface that we invested heavily in is basically developing an admin interface. So, for instance, if I have the document property view, right now in Share, you'll have to edit an XML file to make those updates and display them within the Share interface. we've made it completely configurable from an admin perspective. So if I create a new content type in Alfresco and I want to display these custom aspects or types within the document properties view or within advanced search, and I want to configure facets, all that is done through a configurable admin interface. If I create a new content type, I want to expose that or maybe limit it to different users, that's also very configurable. Like I mentioned before, our open content layer is RESTful. We also leverage activity. I think one interesting piece as well is for our Active Wizard component, which is kind of like a question and answer type scenario that generates a workflow automatically, leverages the activity BPM framework. We also use that for our documentum clients. So we have customers outside of Alfresco also using activity for their content-centric workflows.
Okay, so I'm going to go into a couple case studies. We'll go kind of quick, and I'll take any questions. It seems like a small enough group. Basically, when we see insurance, and I was talking to someone else today, whether this is insurance or Siebel or other, there's a lot of our clients have this main system for managing their data. So policy and claim, if you're an insurance company, Siebel, CRM, you know, all those SAP for accounting. But a lot of times people would like to integrate, you know, and enable a view documents related to that document. So I don't want to construct my whole claim and policy system in Alfresco or in HPI. I want to just use a part of it. So basically what we talk about is for someone, at least one client is on an AS400, another client is actually on a Tandem. They wanted to maintain that, but they wanted us to create a way that they could easily kind of launch into a small kind of case view of a claim or policy is for our insurance folks. This is what the architecture ended up looking like. So they kept all their AS400 systems the same. These systems kick out reports that get ingested. So we use Open Migrate to watch a folder and ingest those, and we convert, I forget what we're converting to. We convert everything to PDF from some of the loss reports and some of the other things associated with their stuff. On the other side, from the data side, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what that looks like, is from their screens here, they have a View Document button. We launch them directly into the relevant claim or policy that they're trying to view. So all of the metadata is really managed by this application, and we're kind of subservient to it, saying, oh, claim, and they send us down all the information we need about claim, so we don't have to own that data. From a link side, it's something as simple as just an HTTP that points to the Alfresco server that says, hey, call HPI and give us this claim number. We also typically can use other stuff to pass role, current system test, user security, other stuff that people want. Last thing that I wanted to show was they have a unique approach for one of our claim clients where basically they have in their old system, they have 16 terabytes of old data here. What we're kind of doing is when someone asks for something, we're actually going to the old system, migrating it on the fly to Alfresco, because now that claim is alive. So if you know anything about claim, somebody makes a claim, they don't have any processing for 7 years, all of a sudden there's a flurry of activities on that claim because maybe it's going to expire. So they start working it then. So rather than a big bang approach of having to migrate all this before you can start working, the big weekend, they're gradually doing it. So a little bit of something of what that looks like. I wanted to show this. So if you look at, this would be an example of their data system. So it has all of this data about the claim and what the loss is and the due dates and all the rest of that stuff. Really what they're looking for is over here on this image side is, hey, I would like to enable that so if I click on that image, hey, launch me into the right folder. So I brought a little screen cam of what that looks like. Basically, let me see if I get the right one. Oops, I didn't have my screen cam. Wake up. I don't think my football highlights, this is back from Ray's side on that, not the other Ray. Let me bring it up over here. But basically, once you click on that link, let's launch this guy up. Basically, what you're going to see going over is us multi-threaded bringing over the 12 images that are related, then launching them right into HPI. So hopefully, this would be the screen cam part of the demo. Is basically, here's what that, he's calling that link manually, but you're seeing it pull over each one of these documents. And so in this case, the claim had 11 documents. Once he clicks on that link, we launch him right into the claim folder that we're talking about. all the documents are correctly put in the right spot so that then they can start looking at the different documents. Any questions on that at all? Does that make sense? It's a little bit of a hybrid. People have called it a lazy migration. I like kind of the rolling migration instead because you're gradually moving from one repository to the other.
The metadata extracted automatically?
Yeah. Well, so what we're doing is a little bit of combination of the two is we're getting the metadata from this screen itself, from the, the claim data here. But then we're also saying that, hey, maybe the images on the other system had the right tags to put them other places. So I'm going to break from script and show a live demo. If there's any issues, it's because of bandwidth, not because of our stuff. This is going back over to the States. But basically, if I come in HPI, you're going to see, I'm going to go to search just to get us to that policy folder. Very configurable as far as which types of documents am I looking for. I'm looking for insurance. And then in this case, I have a save search to get me there fairly quick. What we're looking for is just saying, hey, if I said year 2004, I'm going to get a quick result back over here. These are all very flexible from hey, I can move them around, I can sort them, I can configure what I want to see. I'm going to go ahead and go into the policy folder. I come in, I get to see what documents were added. If I go down here and say, oh, I want to look at this one contract, we bring up the PDF of that contract as that's coming up. Come on. You're seeing our open annotate on top of it, and given time, I can show folks back how that works. Then the other nice part, though, is you're seeing this other stuff we've configured down here as far as, hey, I know this policy and this policy number, what are the related claims against it and what are the related policies? So what we're trying to do is give that caseworker a real framework where he can quickly say, hey, I want to see the policy from 2012 to compare to the one that I'm looking at now. And so that's where you see that launch in the dual frame where I can see the policy from this year next to the policy from last year. I can move that over to another browser. Again, it's very focused on getting the right information in front of the policy or claims adjuster. From what our clients have added to it, they've added all kinds of things like, this is just view properties, view all the documents, you already saw that, generate a combination PDF where I could, basically this says, hey, what are all the documents? I only have one PDF in this folder, but I can combine them with a table of contents. Another big thing is being able to add documents. So we're showing that from the folder side, everything that gets put in here inherits the policy number and year and holder information. But I can scan directly from here. I can generate a cover page for maybe drop-off scanning. Other piece that people like to show is we do show a different type of email integration. So if I'm going to just grab an MSG file and I just drag it into here, we not only bring over the MSG file, but right now it's parsing the different attachments that are attached to it. So that if I want to file that, and they found this a real big help, if I want to go ahead and file that and say, okay, this is it's a policy, so I'm going to say it's an underwriting document. I'm just going to put the policy on all of them. I'll go ahead and say next. And then for my different pieces, I'm going to go ahead and let's tag them all as correspondence. And I can put multiple tags, but you're seeing us kind of working within the folder. But so from that email, without anything on the desktop or any kind of plugin or anything else, I'm taking that email as well as all those attachments. I've inserted them into the folder. And now if I go down to look at correspondence, I see both of the documents as well as the email itself. If I go click on the email, oops, and that should be showing the email. I see this should be the email up here, and then I would see the attachments as far as what's attached to the email. From looking at a document, another piece that folks like is the idea of from within the folder, I want to send an email. Well, what are the documents that are in this folder, and can I send all those out? So again, this one was a huge one for the claims folks as far as they spend a lot of their time sending an email and then dragging it from their outbox into the system. Being able to just describe it immediately in the system was a big plus for them.
Is there an open source tool for this, or is it?
It's part of our open source. So we send it to give people ideas of things we could add to share, or if you wanted to use our tool for it as well.
Is this an on-premise or a hosted solution?
Could be either one. We have clients running it in the Amazon cloud, but like we said, it's open source. We don't have a multi-tenant cloud environment. It's for running.
This functionality would seemingly need a single sign-on.
Correct.
Integration with their SMTP.
Correct, and that's what we do.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to end.
Can you keep, you were dealing with emails, so I can keep a thread. So if I have a claim coming in and there is an email thread back in.
You can reply to emails you ingest. We do, because we're keeping track of it as an email, and it can keep a thread. Similar to Google Docs or the other stuff as far as, but we typically try to process the email as a document in itself with attachments to it. So maybe the email goes out, but then it's attached to the other email that you kind of replied to or something like that. Okay. Just so I make sure I give Ray enough time, I'm going to go, I won't show the demo for the compliance one. If you want to stop by, I'll show it. But basically from an innovative side, we think kind of, hey, leverages their existing infrastructure data, the insurance claim policy view, related folders, dynamic, that's saving them searches, the combined PDF, inbound, outbound email, cost effective. That rolling migration, if you can fit that into your schedule, that's a great way to avoid the big costs and the big risks of a big bang type migration. We're actually doing a webinar on that coming up in a couple weeks. And then open source, everything we showed was HPI, open annotate overlay, migration was all open source. Additional resources, so if you go out to our website, you go out to our website and just look in solutions. We have a ton of videos out here, both in, so for policy and claim, you can look here and there's a quick 4-minute video down here, as well as for the compliance solution I'm about to show or talk about is here as well, with even a bigger demo series available here as far as it walks through each one of the pieces of it. Another one, we put a lot of stuff into the learning zone, so there's a lot of stuff out here as well. Basically, we decided, at some point in time, we like doing these, for HPI, there's a ton of different videos you can look at to get an idea of how we do stuff, and if that helps you with your ideas. Okay. Real quick, compliance is something we really focus on. Again, I mentioned nuclear as well as pharmaceutical are our two biggest industries. But compliance is all about getting the right document to the person at the right time. If the wrong SOP is followed, it could have bad results. Is anybody here in manufacturing or work with manufacturing documents or maintenance documents? Okay, we'll go fairly quick through this. Basically, though, it's us putting a lot of issue to make sure that the right document isn't, people aren't seeing draft and they're only seeing the documents they're supposed to when they're working on something. A lot of stuff with versioning as far as to make sure the right version, security, viewing, and approval. And then heavily focused on, if you're ever looking at form and workflow, we really focus on something called a change request, which is the idea that I'm going to describe what I'm trying to do, and that's going to generate the workflow that's going to result in the right approval. So we see this for both our compliance edition, but we also see it just in general in form and workflow itself, is the idea that, hey, I'm going to, in this case, you're seeing our change request here and approval interface. Given the time, I think, do we have just till 10 till? Still good? Okay. I'll go into it and show it real quick then, just because it's different. We do have, for Hospira, one of our Alfresco clients, we do have a mobile interface as far as being able to look up documents as well. But innovative and cost-effective, kind of a smart form to create this change request. I'll show you what that looks like and how it drives workflow. All of the stuff with the interface to ensure the versioning lifecycle, security, and approval, as well as very cost-effective. So why don't, with that, I'll go into the other demo. So we're trying to take it from a user side. If I have a document that I want to get approved, in this case, so I have, what we're saying is a controlled document, and I'm going to just show, I'm going to just actually not do that. I'm going to just show ones that start with TSG in our draft. So when I do my search, I have this version 2.1 that is draft. I'd like to make it effective. If I go ahead and view on the document, I get to see, what this document kind of looks like. And so from this, from here, what I want to do, and I don't know why it was doing this when I was, wake up, there you go. But what I'd like to do, I annotated, that's the checkout. Oh, I can't. I'm going to go ahead and create what I'm going to call a wizard form to approve that. So I'm going to say it's a simple CR. This is our piece of a form driving workflow. So I'm going to ask, instead of it being, hey, pick a template and that stuff, I'm going to actually go through what right now is Flash, but is moving to HTML5, kind of a questionnaire where I'm going to answer questions about, hey, what kind of change and what are you trying to do? What date? Will regulatory affairs be? Yes. It's a document type of change. I'm going to go through what we would call kind of a wizard type questionnaire about, hey, what am I doing? I want to attach a separate document, and do you have any supporting? No. Based on how I answer these questions, are going to drive me to the next question. So in the previous one, I said I was going to attach a document. If I change that question to I'm going to enter text, all of the Active Wizard is built to simplify the gathering of data. So if you don't need to ask a question, you can branch off. So I'm going to just put a quick one in here. But then for certain, for a CR approver, maybe I'm going to have to pick one. So I'll go ahead and pick myself. For this one, for this workflow step, do you want to send additional notifications? No. But basically, I've completed everything I need to do from the workflow side except for the attach the document. And I said I wanted to search for that. Oh, I think I wanted the TSG one, right? And so I'm looking for the TSG 2.1, right? And I'm going to try to attach that one. But basically, I get a summary. I get a summary of, okay, here's everything you did before you think about sending it off from a user side. And then based upon how I filled that out, it's going to fill out who the workflow approval is. And the priority one, if I had more than one of those, that would be a parallel route. This is sequential as we're showing it right now. But you're seeing that I only picked myself down here for the CR approval, but because I said regulatory and because the priority of change is not low, it pulled these other two folks in. What we always like to show folks is if I go back, I haven't submitted it yet, and this is the advantage of using this versus a template approach because I'm building that template dynamically. If I say low and no for this piece, I get to look at the summary again. It's going to regenerate the workflow, and now it takes those two out. So what we're looking for is just a smarter way to do that workflow approval. Once I say finish, oh, go ahead.
So you're building a workflow on the fly.
We're building a workflow on the fly based upon the form.
That can't really decide on what workflow they want.
Correct.
You can actually use this system to create very specific workflows.
Well, and ours is, especially when it comes to approval workflows tend to get generated by, hey, if you're trying to do this, then I need to get involved in the approval. So you're collecting that data. Rather than us defining that in a very complex workflow template, we're building the template, specifically for that. So we did one form for Johnson & Johnson that was over 100 pages for their change request because it was such an involved and kind of regulated industry. But you're seeing us rendition the form into PDF, and if you just look, it's just got my questions on it. And then basically, I'm going to go ahead. I could start a review workflow. That would bring up annotation and open annotate. If I start an approval workflow, kind of what you're seeing is, hey, if I go ahead and submit the approval workflow, okay. Basically, you're seeing us, this is our compliance edition. You're seeing now, hey, this document has moved to pending approval. So we're actually keeping kind of a life cycle tied to it, as well as if I go all the way down here to the, I thought I attached the document to it. But now it's been routed. If I go ahead and log out and log in as me, I'm going to get an email notification. I can show you what that looks like. But then I'm also going to get this task that says, hey, you have something to do. I'm going to have a very simple way to say, okay, here I want to you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to complete it, delegate it, view workflow status? I'll go ahead and complete it. We are capturing an electronic signature here. I'll just finish this just so you can see what it looks like. Yes. So in this case, not only did the document move to approved, I upped its version to 1.0. Only the system can create .0 versions. And then if I go look on this document, we actually have renditioned my signature page on it. So as you get that idea of kind of form and workflow and automating, making this easier for folks, we can build dynamics, you know, into the form so that it drives the workflow rather than have the workflow have to manage a bunch of templates.
Creating questions, is that something that you have to do?
No, it can be. We do have clients that do it on their own. So it's a, you know, radio buttons, checkbox. You know, we have all of that type of thing. And like I said, we have a major client right now in the kind of delivery business that's moving it to HTML5 rather than Flash. Flash has served us well for all the folks that still are on IE8 and other things, but HTML5 is coming, so we want to be able to support that as well. Okay. With that, I promised I'd give Ray enough time. Oops.
Something about configuring those questions on your website?
Yes. So you can see an admin interface or contact us, and we'll show you how we do it. Additional resources, you can go to our compliance one because this will all be downloaded. We do have a LIMS if you're interested in recorded. We're modernizing control documents. It's in our blog as well as a blog on batch records and other stuff if you want to look there. Last one is engineering case study. So in this case, and I'm not going to show it, if you stop by the booth, I can show it later. But the idea was for one of our engineering clients, they would do the same thing over and over again. So for our client, thanks. They build fertilizer plants, and so certain fertilizer plants require certain documents. And so they would build up a template library of here's all the documents required for a typical fertilizer plant. And we would say, hey, create a new project. It would copy all those over, set them all as draft, and maintain them in this folder structure with the right security that they could monitor that. So basically, creation of template folders, creation of project initiation, management of the project. And you think about having to do that with Share would be very kind of difficult, where we were kind of automating behind the scenes for them. Okay, innovative and cost-effective, the whole idea of a template folder rather than just a template document. But then really the big thing was reporting. So since we labeled all these things draft, as they got worked and approved, you'd see them in process, you'd see them as final. And he had a due date on them, so he could do some reporting of, hey, what documents are due this week, and who do I need to start pushing to get those done? Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ray. Engineering Construction Management is out on our website as well to talk about digital archive and search.
Right, so we've had an opportunity to work with a lot of unique clients from a digital asset management perspective, and really it's these organizations that have a large amount of video and images and need a way to index them, right? So in this case, it's really more batch indexing. So maybe I have a group of 20 images and I want to bulk tag them and index them all at the same time without having to do it in a manual basis, and we've leveraged our HPI interface to do that. And this is becoming basically a general workflow for born digital content, right? So we do work for the New York Philharmonic in New York, and so they may have a photographer at a concert and take pictures, and they need to have a digital process for that photographer to go in, tag all the pictures that they took for that concert series, but then make that available to the marketing team and everyone else to search and be able to incorporate into their brochures or website, etc. Right now, for most of these organizations, it's typically done via email, right? So then someone knows where the folder structure is in a shared drive, and they contact the one person that knows how it's all set up and try to find that asset for them and email it to them. They don't know what's available. And then, you only have that one rendition, obviously, so you need to create 5 different ones, or one for the website, or one for the exhibit, etc. So, basically what we've come up with is basically the workflow for indexing assets. So, bulk indexing of assets like I described before, but also how to, if I have a large video or large images, I upload them into Alfresco via FTP or WebDAV, but then I automatically start that indexing workflow to index it and go through an approval process. Also, collection functionality. I know Ray Gauss mentioned this in his media module talk just a little bit ago, but we've also developed within HPI going through the search interface and creating collections on assets, and then either making them public or private. So then maybe I choose these sets of images or videos for a website or brochure, then I can reference those collections and share them with other users within my organization to review and decide what I want to select for. Also, faceted search and gallery view, being able to filter on search results, that's configurable within our interfaces, and then different views to view multimedia assets. So basically, some unique things that we've been able to do. We've done work, and I'll have a slide a little bit. We've done work for the New York Philharmonic, the Canadian Museum of Human Rights, and ASCP are some recent digital asset management clients. But different things we've done, we've leveraged our Open Annotate tool to simulate viewing virtual slides. So virtual slides are medical images, so a cancer cell, where that slide may be in a proprietary format up to 500 megs large. And so we've leveraged our annotation tool to allow users to zoom in like a microscope, like viewing it from a virtual microscope, annotate, this is where the cancer cell is, adding notes, and then saving that within the repository.
Did I bring up the right slide? Right, that's what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to go through that in a little bit, but we've also done things with different rendition formats, integrating JPEG 2000 with Alfresco, so actually generating taking JPEGs, generating the JPEG 2000 formats, and then storing them within the Alfresco repository. OCR, we've done Google Glass POCs, so going back to that original use case with the virtual slides, basically allowing the ability to then, for doctors to choose those images and send them directly to your Google Glass. If you want to stop by the booth, I actually have that in a demo. Large uploads. So let's say we do a lot of crowdsourcing for some of these applications that we've built. So maybe a doctor wants to contribute their collection of cancer cells for the kidney, and they're 500, 200 large files, 200 megabytes a piece. Instead of them taking the hit for the upload, we actually upload it to an S3 bucket in AWS and create a contentless object within Alfresco, so then they can download that at a later time. So then the organization isn't hit from a bandwidth perspective. So, and these are just some quick slides of our annotation tool. So this is a cell, and doctors are able to annotate on that, on where the cancer may be on that image, add notes about it. And so they actually have indexing parties where all these pathologists will get together and catalog a whole subset of images for a certain amount of time, and go through a peer review and annotating the images and highlighting certain pieces as one piece of that.
And we talked about, for our clients, that ability to kind of, if a Google Doc type thing is, while the annotations are appearing from somebody else, you can see them while you're annotating, is something that's in the product kind of roadmap that clients have asked for.
Yeah, so eventually then it's almost like a training tool, where maybe a pathologist may be training other interns or other doctors, and they'd be able to basically look at a slide and discuss like where they think it is or where it's not. So this is personal collections, so doctors are able to curate personal collections and create assets. And these are just some screenshots of a POC we did, where you do select those images, and then these are basically streamed into a Google Glass, and they're able to use them as reference images. So just some overview of a lot of the case studies for the New York Philharmonic. Like I discussed before, the Canadian Museum of Rights, they're using Alfresco to drive all of their digital exhibits within the museum. So it's a $350 million national museum that opened 2 weeks ago. They have over 50 plus digital exhibits that take a variety of videos, images, and audio. All of that is being stored within an Alfresco repository and interfaces via an API to all of those exhibits. And then the American Society of Clinical Pathologists, all of the medical images type case studies that we did as well.
So here's my email, Ray's. We have a booth back left corner. I guess we're just wrapping up. Any questions, thoughts? End of the day kind of thing? Okay. Well, so I think, the big takeaway we always talk to folks about is we tend to get involved in this what's next. I've tried share. I need something more automated. So you see in clients invest in this type of solution. Yes, question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if I want to try out the high performance interface,
Uh-huh.
is the open content thing is just an amp and then a war thing for the HPI thing? Or
Yeah, and how are we,
all available from the website?
typically, Ray, we're packaging both HPI with
Yeah,
open
so
content.
they package together, and there is an amp that you would install for open content.
Is it actually reading the content model as exists in Alfresco? Or
Correct.
And that's when you sort of whistle, therefore, is that like a content type?
So HPI is configurable from a content model perspective. So if you create your own content model and you start up HPI, you can go into the admin screens and then configure how you want to, what attributes you want to view for the content models you create. Correct. And that's for search, the properties, all
And
those
you said
things.
you could dynamically also create new types.
Not within HPI. You would
We don't-
still do
yeah.
that within the traditional Alfresco methods with the content model XML. But then once it's loaded,
Okay.
HPI will query the data dictionary and see what's available.
I was thinking you said something like you could dynamically like see this one or something.
No, not creating content models. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Like I said, lots of videos online. We'll be showing live demos that worked mostly, I think. So if anybody wants to see them, and thanks everybody for coming.